The NFL MVP is a QB award and has been that way since it started. QBs have won the MVP each of the past 11 seasons, and it'll probably be 12 after this season. Plus, since the award started, QBs have won it 47 times, by far the most of any position. The position with the second most MVPs is running back. The last time a non-QB won the MVP was also the last time a running back won MVP, and that was Adrian Peterson's fantastic 2012 season. AP in 2012 was the offense for the Vikings that year, running for nearly 2,100 yards and 12 touchdowns, but that doesn't mean other backs haven't come close. Obviously, Saquon Barkley this year is well deserving for the MVP conversation with how well he has played, but since AP and before Saquon this year, there has only ever been one running back to finish within the top 2 of MVP voting, and the legacy of which that back left behind is the simple question of what if. Todd Gurley was born in Baltimore, Maryland in 1994 and went to high school in North Carolina at Tarboro. While there, he showed the impact that he can bring, playing both sides of the ball as a running back and DB. Gurley would rack up 1,472 yards, 26 touchdowns, 79 tackles, an interception, and a forced fumble. He was named Rocky Mount Telegram Offensive Player of the Year that season, a list that would include Donovan Knight in 2017. His senior year was even better as a running back, producing 2,600 yards and 38 touchdowns to go alongside being named the North Carolina Player of the Year and back-to-back state championships for his high school. He was ranked as the 5th best running back in the class according to Rivals.com, being ranked behind Jonathan Gray, TJ Yeldon, Trey Williams, and Mario Pender. As a 4-star recruit, he decided to take his talents to Athens, Georgia, and become a Bulldog. Gurley would stay in Georgia for 3 years, where he became a household name right out the gate with a 1,385-yard, 17 touchdown season as a true freshman. He would continue this success over the following 2 seasons, averaging 950 yards over 144 carries. Gurley entered the NFL draft in 2015 and finished ranking 2nd all-time in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns in Georgia history with 3,285 and 36 respectively, but he was shortly passed by Nick Chubb in both categories and also passed by Shoney Michel in rushing yards. Gurley would get his name called early on draft night, being selected 10th overall to the St. Louis Rams, becoming the highest drafted running back out of Georgia since 1989. The 1989 running back was Tim Worley, who was selected 7th overall by the Steelers. It would take a minute, but Gurley would find his way in the NFL, as in his second career game in Week 4, Gurley would be a big reason why the Rams upset an undefeated Cardinals team, thanks to a 144-yard second-half performance. From there, he became the most prolific running back in history of the first 4 games to a career, with 566 total yards, after 4 straight games with at least 128 yards. But the weeks following, things slowed down, but he would still end his rookie year with over 1,000 yards rushing and 10 touchdowns. The first time a Rams rookie had done that since Eric Dickerson in '83. Gurley would be selected to his first Pro Bowl and won Offensive Rookie of the Year over Jameis Winston, and was even ranked 22nd on the top 100 list for 2016. With the Rams' move to LA came a sophomore slump for Gurley, drastically underperforming expectations as the Rams also underperformed, ending the season 4-12, with Gurley rushing for 885 yards and 6 touchdowns. After the season, Jeff Fisher would be fired to bring in an up-and-coming head coach to try and revitalize the team. That coach was Sean McVay, who the Rams grabbed off the Washington staff. The 2017 Rams saw drastic improvement from everyone on the team. With the implementation of the Shanahan system into LA, Gurley saw improvement and a workload that was slightly different. Under Jeff Fisher, Gurley was really used out of the backfield as a receiver. Well, McVay came in and changed that by asking Gurley to catch the ball more and utilize his athleticism. This was showcased early with a 56-yard receiving game to go alongside 40 rushing yards and a touchdown in the opener against the Indianapolis Colts. Gurley would have his first receiving touchdown of his career in Week 2 and would continue to have solid games receiving. Meanwhile, his ability rushing was also still on full display. At the time of the Rams' Week 8 bye, Gurley was streaky but still putting up really good numbers. After the bye, the balance arrived and Gurley was a consistent impact to the Rams, averaging 62 yards and 54 receiving yards a game over the first 5 games post the bye. Week 16 was his best game of the season, with Gurley having 158 yards receiving, 118 yards rushing, and 2 receiving touchdowns. Gurley led the league in rushing touchdowns, total touchdowns, yards from scrimmage, and scoring among non-kickers with 13, 19, 2,093, and 114 respectively. He became just the 16th player to achieve 750 yards rushing and receiving in the season, and the 8th to have 1,300 rushing yards and 750 receiving yards in the season. He had developed into a lethal dual-purpose back under McVay in a season that won Gurley Offensive Player of the Year and saw him finish second in MVP voting, the last time a back finished second in MVP. Before the 2018 season, Gurley was signed a 4-year, $60 million contract extension to become the highest-paid running back in the NFL. He repaid the Rams massively in 2018, having a season that, although yards-wise wasn't better, it did see him score more for the Rams with less opportunities. Gurley went from 279 carries in 2017 to 256 carries in 2018, while having just about 50 less rushing yards, but he did have 4 more rushing touchdowns, with the total of 17 leading the league once again. Receiving saw a decline with 6 less targets and receptions, 200 less yards, and 2 less touchdowns. Still, his play this season was a massive reason for the Rams' success, and come playoff time, he played really well against the Cowboys in the divisional round, but wasn't asked to do a whole lot in the conference championship. After the conference championship game, rumors started to circulate about his health, with mixed reports being everywhere. After a mediocre performance in the Super Bowl, it would be announced that Gurley had arthritis in his left knee. The cause of the injury dates back to his college days, as in Gurley's junior year and final season at Georgia. He was on track to have a massive season until the Bulldogs hosted Auburn.
And now to a developing story. Georgia's star running back Todd Gurley is out for the rest of the season.
Terrible news. Sports record Zach Klein talked to a person very close with this football program, and this is a really bad injury.
Yeah, devastating injury, and many people out there believe he has played his final game for the Bulldog Nation. Todd Gurley tore his ACL in his left knee last night and is out for the remainder of the season. In his first game back from serving a 4-game suspension for selling his autograph to memorabilia dealers, Gurley looked like the Heisman Trophy leading candidate that he was before the suspension. He had 138 yards and a touchdown, but on his 29th carry of the game, with just over 5 minutes to play, he was attempting to cut back after planting his left leg, and that's when he goes down wincing in pain. An MRI performed this morning confirmed the ACL tear, and while he needs surgery, no date for this procedure has been set at this time, and it comes at an awful time at the end of the season. The NFL training combine is just 5 months away, so there's no chance he'll be ready for that. That is, of course, if he decides to leave Georgia early and turn pro. We still got to wait on that decision as well.
Hate to hear it.
Yeah, tough news.
Devastating. All right, Zach, thank you.
He would tear his ACL, missing the rest of the season, and ending his college career, with Gurley entering the NFL draft after the season. Back to the 2019 season, Gurley saw a decline in production due to the lingering effects of the knee injury. Gurley didn't have a single game of 100 yards rushing and ended the season with 157 yards rushing, 207 yards receiving, and 14 total touchdowns. After the season, Gurley would be released and end up signing a 1-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons for 2020. 2020 saw more decline from Gurley with less opportunities, ended the season with less than 200 carries for the first time in his career. To show for it was 678 yards and 9 touchdowns and a free agency in the following offseason. Gurley would visit a few teams but end up sitting out the 2021 season, and the announcement of his retirement came before the 2022 season. The biggest thing to come of his 2020 season was the announcement that Gurley is dealing with knee osteoarthritis due to his torn ACL. Knee osteoarthritis leads to the cartilage in the knee to gradually break down, and thus pain, stiffness, and swelling in the affected knee. By the time of his retirement, it was clear that his knee was impacting him too much, and even during the 2021 season, Gurley stated that he never had the feeling of wishing to be out there. The level of production that Gurley had during his short prime with the Rams, thanks to the arrival of Sean McVay, was a sign of what could have been if only his career wasn't impacted by injury. It had the makings of a potential Hall of Fame level career if only we were able to see more of Todd Gurley at his prime. And there you have it. Again, this kind of content, these video essays, are going to be the primary content during the NFL offseason. So if this is stuff you enjoy, leave a like and subscribe and comment down below any other potential video ideas you would have and like to see me do. I appreciate you all. See you all next time. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.